Hello and good morning, CSI 135-400 students. This is going to be a quick video tutorial solution set for lab number 10. I've got the lab questions displayed in a separate window so that I can walk through each one individually to provide the answer. Question number 1. What system file keeps a record of all system messages, and what is the decimal value of the permissions on this file? So we know from our reading that if we cd into var log and then type ls-la, we see the messages file located right here. So the answer is /var/log/messages, and the decimal value of the permission bits is 600. And again, the R, which is read, has a value of 4. The W, which is write permission, has a value of 2, and execute, which is not on, has a value of 1. The owner of the file is root, and the group of the file is root. So number 1 is /var/log/messages, and the permission bit decimal value is 600. Okay, what utility can be run to display your UID and GID information? So your unique user ID and your unique group ID, or I should say the group ID to which you belong, and that is simply the ID command. If I type in ID, you can see that my user identification number is 3505 and my group ID is 200, the students group. I'm sorry, the students group, and then it tells you the groups that you're in is 200 for students. Alright, so the command would simply be ID. Question number 3. Why is it never a good idea to have the current working directory as part of the user root's path? And the reason for that is that you do not want root searching the current working directory before a directory where executables that the user root would normally run reside. So you don't want to have the current working directory in root's path. What is the process ID of the init process, and who is the owner of the process? So you'll remember from previous chapters that ps-ef will print out the process table, and we are going to grep on init. So as you can see, root is the owner of the process, and the process ID is 1. And I'll do a ps-ef and pipe it to more, and you can see the process ID, and then PPID stands for the parent process ID. So the init process is process ID 1, and it's owned by root. And that was question number 4. Question number 5. At which run levels does the S00 kill all startup script run? So what you could do, there's a number of ways to do this. You could cd down into Etsy, cd down into Etsy, and then go into rc0.d and then take a look and try to see if it's in here, and you can see that S00 kill all is located here. Or a much faster way, you could use your ff function that you created a number of weeks ago and simply type ff S00 kill all. And your function will run, and it's running the find command in the background. And as you can see, the S00 kill all runs at run level 6 and run level 0 on the class system. And that was the answer to number 5. Number 6, is the service tux running on the class system, and what command did you use to determine your answer? So you could type in ps-ef and grep on tux. That's one way to determine it. Or you could use the service command. Oops. You could use the service command. I apologize there. Take a look at the man page on service real quick so that you can see. And you want to do the status all. So I would type in service status. Oops. Status all. And we are in, I believe it's in user sbin, so let me do user sbin service status dash all. No, let's see. All right, let's flip over to a different system here, and service dash dash status dash all should show us, and there we go. Should show us what we're looking for. I need to change windows real quick, and as you can see, tux is stopped. It's not working. So again, you could do the ps-ef and then grep on tux, or you could simply type in service dash dash status dash all. Okay. Back over to the class system. All right, that was the answer for number 6. Number 7, what two files are related to TCP wrappers? And the answer, let me switch windows here, the answer would be, let this finish running here, and we'll clear the screen. The answer would be the hosts.allow file, and there's your host.allow file, and then the hosts.deny file, and there's the host.deny file. So those are the two files that we spent some time on Wednesday evening discussing and configuring, and those are the files that we know are related to TCP wrappers. That was number 7. Number 8, in what order does the system vader search or resolve host addresses? So if we were to cd into etc and then cat out the nsswitch.conf file, you would be looking for the line hosts, and you could see that it looks at the etc hosts file first, then it goes out to DNS to resolve host names. So the order is the etc file, or the etc hosts file, is looked at first, and then DNS is queried. And that was the answer to number 8. Number 9, what is the group ID for users in the guest group? So I'll clear this here. We'll cd into etc, and if I cat group and grep on guest, I can see that the group ID is 103. And again, the key file is the etc group file. So the answer for number 9 is 103. Number 10, what is the label on the partition /boot? If I type df-k, it'll show me a bunch of information related to the file system and how that file system is mounted. However, we do not see any label information. But if I cat etcfs tab, which is the file that we looked at on Wednesday evening, you can see that it provides a listing of the labels that are placed on each of these partitions. So the label assigned to the boot partition is boot 1. And this would be your answer, boot 1. And that is the answer to number 10. Number 11, what are the file permissions on the etc motd file, and what does this file do on the class system? So let's cd into etc, and we'll look at motd. So the permissions are 6, 4, 4, and if we cat the motd file, you'll see that the motd file is the message of the day file, and this is the output that is sent to the window when you first log on. So when users first log on, you see the motd output. So I'm going to exit my session here, and we've got the Space Odyssey 2000 line there, and I hit enter. You can see it cleared the screen. But this was the message that was indicated, or that was printed to the screen as I logged in. So this is the etc motd file, and again, it's used by the administrator to put in any important information that the students may need to know or faculty may need to know when logging in. So the permissions were 644, and the file prints out messages as students and faculty log on. Number 12, write a shell script that prompts the user for their login ID and then prints out a message telling them their group ID number. Alright, so we'll just call this one GID. First thing we want to do is the magic number that takes us to the bash shell, the absolute path name to the bash shell. So you would do echo space dash in. Please enter your login ID. And we're going to read that in as login ID. Now, the next thing you want to do in order to find out the group ID number for that user, which would be, you could pull it out of a number of places. You could pull it out of the Etsy password file, and that would probably be the most convenient here. So I'm going to save this file right now, and if we come out and I cat the Etsy password file, and let me grep on CSI 135B25, which is my current student user account. As you can see, the password file, or I'm sorry, the password fields here, there are 7 fields for each user in the Etsy password file, and we want the group ID number. So you know that the first, second, third, the fourth field has the group ID number. So let's go back into our script, and we've already seen the command that we would run. So let me go ahead and do this. If I rerun the same command and then leverage the awk command and print $4, which is the fourth field, let me see if we end up with the group ID. And sure enough, we do. So this is the file that we would need. I'm sorry, the command that we would need. So let me copy that, and I'm going to VIGID. And we're going to go ahead and paste that in here, make some changes to it though. Okay, so since the user is entering their login ID information, we want to make sure that we're grepping on the login ID. So let me go ahead and finish my script up here. I always put into file, so you know where the file ends. So this is what our file would look like. Let me go ahead, do a chmod u+x to make sure that it's executable. And now let's run our script. So please enter your login ID. If I were to type in CSI 135B25, there you have it. The login ID is 200. Let me rerun that again. Let's make sure that this works. TPB, which is my faculty account, and my login ID is 100. What if I am the user root? My group ID is 0. So as you can see, and I will cat the script out one more time, you simply prompt the user for their login ID, read the login ID in, and create and instantiate a variable called login ID, and then you cat the password file. You grep on the input that the user has entered in, the variable that you created, which is the login ID, and then you use the awk utility to pick off the fourth field, and that'll be printed to the screen. All right, so that was number 12. Number 13 says write a shell script that prompts the user for their login ID and then prints out a message telling the user the IP address of the 3 servers used by the system vader for DNS services. So we'll call this one DNS. Again, you want the magic number, oops, apologize there. You want the magic number at the top of your script. And you would put some comments in here. And then we're going to type in echo -n. Please enter your login ID. And we will read in, create the same variable don't need any parents there, sorry. We'll create the same variable login ID. All right, so that's the first portion of the script that prompts the user for their login ID and then prints out a message telling the user the IP addresses of the 3 servers used by the system vader for DNS services. So we're going to echo out $login ID, because we're trying to create a message here, to the user, customize the message to the user. Login ID, the 3 DNS servers in use are, and we'll hit that, we'll stop that there, close it out, and we're simply going to cat the Etsy resolve.conf file, and then that would be it. And I'll show you the resolve.conf file. If I cat /Etsy/resolve.conf, you can see that there are 3 entries in there. So in order to make it even more accurate, what we want to do is, and I'll pull this back up, we can go ahead cat etsyresolve.conf, and we can even grep on name server. So that way we get the 3 name servers in the etsy.conf file. Alright, so we do a chmod u plus x to make it executable. DNS is the name of our script. I'm going to clear my screen, /DNS, login ID, I'll say it's TPB, and it says TPB. The 3 DNS servers in use are 192.168.0.31, .32, and .3. So let's say that you didn't want to have the name server portion in there. We just saw that the awk command can pick off different fields. So if I were to come down here and grep on name server and then awk, and I don't need a field separator, it's just white space, print $2. Let's see what we get when we do this. Clear the screen, /DNS, login ID CSI 135B25. Again, the user who's running the script would be entering this information in, and that's why we want to customize the message. So it's even better and even more clear. So CSI 135B25, the 3 DNS servers in use are, and again, we only have the server names, whereas before, scroll back, we had the name server output, which is okay, but if you only wanted the IP addresses, this is how you would achieve that. All right. I hope this was helpful. Please make sure that you get your labs turned in on time, and I will see everybody on Wednesday night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.